As the 1990s were coming to an end, a 27-year-old woman had the wild idea that women's undergarments needed a facelift. And at the time, her track record wasn't great. She had never taken a business class, had no background in design, and didn't know a single person in the industry. And to make matters worse, her career had gotten off to a rough start. After graduating from Florida State University in 1993, her dream of becoming an attorney ended after she failed to pass the law school admission test twice. For the next 7 years, she bounced around the job market, buckling guests into rides at Disneyland, experimenting with stand-up comedy, and selling fax machines door to door. At times, she felt so defeated that simply finding the courage to walk into another office to sell a fax machine felt nearly impossible. But when the fear of spending the rest of her life selling fax machines grew too strong, she took her life savings of $5,000 and got to work building her business on nights and weekends. She began at the Georgia Tech Library, where she researched every pantyhose patent that she could find. Once she learned that her idea wasn't protected by a patent, she got to work building her first prototype, and soon learned that her idea needed to be made in a factory. But that was easier said than done. Call after call to clothing factories were either unreturned or unanswered. But if her time selling fax machines had taught her anything, it was that face-to-face meetings were far more effective. So she took a week off work, drove to North Carolina, and started cold calling manufacturers in person. At first, everyone turned her away. No one could understand why she wanted to disrupt an already successful industry. And the fact that she didn't work for a big company and had no financial backing only made things worse. However, she was persistent, and after countless rejections and multiple trips to North Carolina, one factory decided to give her a shot. And what a shot that was. After launching her brand Spanx in the year 2000, Sara Blakely turned her idea into a brand worth more than $1 billion and created an entirely new industry. The reason I'm telling you this story is because self-confidence is commonly misunderstood. Many believe that self-confident people ask for what they want, take risks, and stand up for themselves because they don't feel fear. Now, while self-confident people might feel less fear, this doesn't mean they feel no fear. In fact, Blakely has openly admitted that she was terrified when starting Spanx, but refused to let her fears define her. You see, there's one fundamental difference between confident and unconfident people, and that is confident people have developed a mindset that allows them to take positive action despite how they feel. Unconfident people have not. Therefore, self-confidence is not the absence of fear. Rather, self-confidence is feeling the fear, but doing it anyway. So in this video, I want to explain how you can also learn to take positive action despite feeling fear. I'll start by discussing the benefits of becoming more confident. Then I'll explain why you might lack self-confidence. And finally, I'll teach you how to develop more of it. Let's start by talking about the 5 benefits of self-confidence. The first benefit is improved focus. There's a good chance that if you lack self-confidence, that thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I will fail, or I'll look stupid will be constantly running through your mind. Now, when your mind is continually consumed by these types of negative thoughts, you lose your ability to focus on the task at hand, and as a result, your performance suffers. So if you're taking an exam and all you can think about is failing, then you won't be able to focus on the exam itself. Therefore, by building self-confidence, you can reduce these negative thought patterns and improve your ability to focus on the task at hand. Benefit number 2 is more opportunity. When you have little belief in your abilities, opportunities look like opportunities to fail. When this happens, your career suffers because you won't ask for a promotion, start your own business, or share your ideas. And your personal life suffers because you won't ask for a date, join your friends on a spontaneous vacation, or share your ideas when making plans. Thankfully, when you build more self-confidence, life's meaningful experiences stop looking like reasons to fail and start looking like the opportunities they are. Benefit number 3 is better relationships. When you have a negative view of yourself, you feel a need to hide who you really are. As a result, you keep your opinions to yourself, you stay away from difficult conversations, and you avoid standing up for yourself. Because you're not comfortable speaking your mind, people walk all over you, and consequently, you end up living a life dictated by the wants and needs of other people. Then because you feel like you have no control over your life, you end up feeling angry, resentful, and disrespected. Any relationships built on this foundation are weak at best. And that's because instead of being yourself, you act like the person you think people want you to be, which means no one ever gets to know the real you. When this happens, all of your relationships lack depth. But when you have a greater sense of self-confidence, you feel free to be yourself, you stand up for yourself, and you say what needs to be said. When you do this, people get to know the real you, they earn your respect, and as a result, your relationships are deeper and more meaningful. Benefit number 4 is more success. Countless stories throughout history illustrate that failure is often a precursor to success. For example, most people know that Edison failed more than 1,000 times while inventing the light bulb. When you lack self-confidence, failure and constructive criticism reinforce the belief that you're not good enough. And with this mindset, it's nearly impossible to succeed. But when you develop more self-confidence, failure and constructive criticism stop acting as reminders that you're not good enough. Instead, you can use failure and constructive criticism as learning opportunities that help you succeed. And benefit number 5 is more influence. It's hard to get people to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. As an example, if a company didn't believe in their products, would you buy them? Of course not. Thankfully, when you develop more self-confidence, you become more believable. And as a result, you improve your ability to persuade and influence people. Okay, here are 3 reasons that might explain why you lack self-confidence. Reason number 1 is you fear failure, making mistakes, or criticism. Many people fear failure, making mistakes, and criticism, and as a result, they avoid anything that could potentially lead to those outcomes. Unfortunately, this fear can get worse if you have a history of failure, making mistakes, or criticism, especially if those experiences led to embarrassment, punishment, or pain. Failures like poor grades, divorce, or the loss of a job have a way of convincing people that they'll never succeed. Mistakes such as crime, addiction, or unplanned pregnancy leave people feeling like damaged goods. And critical parents, partners, or bosses make people feel like they aren't good enough. As hard as it might be, if you want to build more self-confidence, you have to learn to face these fears. Reason number 2 is you lack skill or experience. It's hard to feel confident when you lack skill. As an example, you wouldn't feel confident playing piano in front of thousands of people if you didn't know any songs. Now, you might also lack confidence if you have skill but lack experience. So a cyclist might have excellent fitness and bike handling skills, but lack experience racing. And as a result, they feel unconfident when racing. And reason number 3 is you think self-confident behaviors are wrong. All too often, people have been led to believe that self-confident behaviors are inappropriate. So you might think that asking for what you want is selfish and greedy, that giving your opinion is rude, or that standing up for yourself is aggressive and confrontational. Underlying all of these beliefs is often a misguided desire for approval. People who think this way often believe that they earn love, acceptance, and respect by keeping other people happy. And as a result, they put themselves last. What's ironic is that this behavior tends to make people love, accept, and respect them less. All right, here are 5 ideas that you can use to become more self-confident. Idea number 1 is face your fears. One of the best ways to overcome your fear is by facing it head on. With repeated exposure, most things become less scary. So as an example, the first time you give a presentation is usually more nerve-wracking than the 10th. When learning to face your fears, it's important to remember to start small. So if you're afraid of giving your opinion, then start with something small, like your preference in music, rather than your opinion of your boss's quarterly plan. Once these low-risk behaviors become comfortable, then move on to more challenging behaviors. Idea number 2 is create a history of success. Every success creates a slight boost in self-confidence, and every failure threatens to lower self-confidence. Knowing this, it's a good idea to create an environment where it's hard to fail. If you're beginning a new project, don't start with a large, overwhelming task. Instead, set realistic goals by breaking the project down into small, achievable tasks. Then let each win build your self-confidence as you go. If you're having a hard time getting started, it often helps to remember past successes, like winning a game or passing a test. Doing so puts you in a success mindset that helps build self-confidence. Idea number 3 is surround yourself with positive people. It's hard to build self-confidence if the people around you are constantly bringing you down. If the people in your life are judgmental, critical, or unaccepting of who you are, then spend time with better people. Look for people who love you for who you are and want the best for you. To help, here's a litmus test that you can use to determine if the people in your life are helping you build self-confidence. After spending time with a particular person, ask yourself how you feel. Now, if that's positive and uplifted, then keep that person in your life. But if it's defeated and discouraged, then it's probably time to let that person go. Idea number 4 is practice. If a lack of skill or experience is making you feel unconfident, then it's time to put in your reps. And that's because with enough experience, most behaviors become second nature, which fortunately leads to feeling confident. As an example, most people don't feel unconfident about brushing their teeth. So if you feel unconfident when speaking in public or trying out for a sports team, then practice, either by yourself or under the guidance of a coach. Now, if you're practicing by yourself and you don't know where to get started, it often helps to emulate somebody that you look up to. So if you want to be a better public speaker, then find examples of great public speakers and learn from them. And idea number 5 is improve your body language. Work by social psychologist Amy Cuddy shows that adopting powerful postures leads to hormonal changes in the body that make people feel more confident. In contrast, adopting weak postures has the opposite effect. To feel more confident, Cuddy suggests making yourself bigger. That might involve widening your stance, putting your hands on your hips with your elbows pointing out, and raising your chin. To prevent yourself from feeling less confident, Cuddy says to avoid making yourself smaller. So you might prevent yourself from slouching, lowering your gaze, or crossing your arms and legs. Now, I know this advice might make you feel uncomfortable, and I understand why. You probably don't want to go through life looking like you're power posing and holding watermelons under your arms. So to avoid this awkward look, remember to keep it subtle. Carry yourself like someone who's proud by keeping your chin up, your shoulders back, and making eye contact. And at the same time, prevent yourself from slouching, looking defeated, and staring at your feet. Now, believe it or not, this subtle change can boost your self-confidence. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Now, if you want more information like this, I highly recommend you check out my meditation app, Aware. I've linked to it below in the description. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.